The EBT card declined. Maria Santos stared at the card reader screen showing insufficient funds in red letters, and her stomach dropped. Behind her in the checkout line at Walmart, she could feel the eyes. Watching, judging, waiting. "I'm sorry," Maria said to the cashier, her voice barely above a whisper. "Can you try again? There should be $127 left this month." The cashier, a tired woman in her 50s who'd seen this scenario 1,000 times, nodded sympathetically and swiped the EBT card again. The electronic benefits transfer card. Food stamps. SNAP benefits. Whatever you wanted to call it, Maria Santos hated using it. Hated the looks. Hated the shame. But she had 3 children at home and $14 in her checking account. And it was only November 18th, 12 days until her next Walmart paycheck. The card reader beeped again. Insufficient funds. Maybe take off the meat," Maria said, her hands shaking as she pointed to the $8 package of ground beef, the cheapest protein she could find, and the orange juice. Her 8-year-old daughter Sofia stood beside the cart, holding the hand of her 4-year-old brother Miguel. Her 6-year-old son Carlos was sitting in the cart among the groceries. Generic cereal, store-brand pasta, the cheapest bread, dented cans from the clearance shelf. Sofia's eyes were downcast, already learning at 8 years old what it felt like to be poor in public. "Of course, honey," the cashier said kindly, removing the items. Behind Maria, the sigh started. That particular sound of impatience that cuts deeper than any words. She didn't need to turn around to know what she'd see. Well-dressed people with full carts, checking their phones, making it clear that this poor woman with her food stamps and her obvious poverty was wasting their time. "This is ridiculous," a woman's voice said. Loud enough to be heard. Meant to be heard. Maria's shoulders tensed. She kept her eyes forward, watching the cashier remove items from her order. $114.32 now. The EBT card should cover it. "Please, God, let it cover it." The cashier swiped again. Approved. Remaining balance, $12.43. Maria exhaled. She'd made it. 7 days of groceries for 3 kids. She'd figure out the other days somehow. She always did. Finally, the same woman's voice said behind her. Maria turned slightly as she gathered her bags. Reusable ones, because plastic bags cost 10 cents each and she couldn't afford them, and saw the woman for the first time. Late 40s. Blonde highlights. Lululemon athletic, where that probably cost more than Maria's weekly paycheck. Designer handbag. That particular look of someone who'd never worried about money a day in her life and couldn't fathom why anyone else would need to. "Some people just take advantage of the system," the woman said to her companion, another well-dressed woman with identical energy. They weren't whispering. "My tax dollars, feeding people too lazy to work." Maria froze. Sofia's hand tightened on Miguel's. Even at 8, she understood. "Excuse me," Maria said, turning fully now, her voice steady despite the tears threatening. I work at this Walmart. 40 hours a week. I'm standing here in my uniform." She gestured to her blue Walmart vest, her name tag, Maria, cashier, 2 years service. The blonde woman looked Maria up and down with something that might have been disgust or might have been indifference. "Then maybe you should get a better job instead of living off government handouts. Maybe you should mind your business," the older cashier interjected, her voice sharp. "This woman works harder than—" "It's okay," Maria interrupted quietly. She wouldn't let her children see her make a scene. Wouldn't give these women the satisfaction. She gathered her bags, took Sofia and Miguel's hands, made sure Carlos was secure in the cart, and then she heard a different voice. Older, male, calm but carrying weight. "Ma'am, I couldn't help but overhear." Maria turned. So did the blonde women. So did everyone in a 3-checkout radius, because Walmart at 6:47 p.m. on a Friday night was its own kind of theater. The man was elderly, early 80s, Maria guessed. White hair, weathered face, wearing simple clothes, khaki pants, a plaid button-down shirt, comfortable walking shoes. He'd been standing 3 people behind Maria in line, holding only a few items: milk, bread, butter, coffee. The basics of someone who lived alone. "I'm sorry," the man said, looking directly at the blonde woman. "But I think you owe this young lady an apology." The woman laughed, that particular laugh of someone used to getting their way. "Excuse me? I don't owe anyone anything. Unlike some people, I actually work for my money. Do you? The old man asked. There was something in his tone. Not aggressive. Just knowing. Tell me, what do you do for work? I'm a real estate agent. Luxury homes. Not that it's your business. Oh. The man nodded slowly. He looked at Maria, really looked at her. Saw the Walmart vest. Saw the 3 children. Saw the shame she was trying so hard to hide. And you, miss. May I ask what brought you to food assistance? Maria's throat tightened. She didn't know these people her story. But something about the old man's eyes, kind, patient, genuinely asking, made her answer. My husband died, she said simply. 2 years ago. Construction accident. Fell from scaffolding building a house in Scottsdale. Died instantly. He was 33 years old. We have 3 children. I work 40 hours a week at Walmart for $9.35 an hour. That's $374 a week before taxes. $1,496 a month. My rent is $1,100. Utilities are $200. That leaves $196 for food, gas, children's needs, everything else. So yes, I use food stamps. Because my children need to eat. The silence in the checkout area was absolute. The old man's face changed. Something in his expression, recognition, maybe. Or memory. Your husband. He was in construction? Yes, sir. Was he a veteran? Maria's eyes filled with tears. Yes, sir. Army. Afghanistan, 2012 deployment. He came home safe, did his time, got out, became a union carpenter. And then he died building someone's dream home while I was home with our babies. The blonde woman had gone pale. Her companion was studying her shoes. What was your husband's name? The old man asked gently. Diego Santos. The old man was quiet for a long moment. Then, I'm sorry for your loss. Thank you for his service. And thank you for doing what so many people don't see. Raising 3 children alone while working full-time. He paused. Those women should be ashamed of themselves. He turned to the blonde woman. You sell luxury homes. Tell me, who builds them? Contractors. Construction workers. I don't. Construction workers, the man repeated. Like Diego Santos, who died so someone could have granite countertops and a wine cellar. This woman's husband built the homes you sell. And you just called her lazy. The woman opened her mouth. Closed it. No words came. I think you should apologize, the old man said. It wasn't a request. I'm sorry. The woman mumbled, grabbing her items and fleeing to another checkout line, her companion trailing behind. Maria was crying now, but quietly, trying to shield her children from seeing. Sofia was crying too. Miguel asked, Mama, why is everyone upset? The old man set his items on the conveyor belt to be rung up. Then he looked at Maria. May I ask you something personal? Maria nodded, wiping her eyes. If you could change one thing about your life right now, what would it be? Maria didn't even have to think. A home. A real home. Somewhere safe where my kids could play without me worrying. Where the rent doesn't go up every year until I can't afford it anymore. Where I'm not one broken down car away from losing everything. But that's impossible. I'll never save enough for a down payment. The old man smiled. It was a sad smile. Nothing is impossible. What's your address? Maria hesitated. This was strange. But something about him felt safe. She wrote it on a scrap of receipt paper. 4247 East Van Buren Street, Apartment 2C, Phoenix, Arizona, 85008. Thank you, the man said. He paid for his groceries, cash, exact change, and left without another word. 3 weeks later, December 9th, 2024. Maria came home from her evening shift at Walmart at 11:47 p.m. The babysitter, her neighbor's teenage daughter who charged $5 an hour, the cheapest Maria could find, was asleep on the couch. The kids were asleep in their shared bedroom, 1 room, 2 bunk beds, 3 children, 680 square feet for $1,100 a month. On the kitchen counter, there was an envelope. Heavy paper. Expensive. Her name written in careful script. Ms. Maria Santos. Inside was a letter. Dear Maria, my name is Robert Chen. You don't know me, but I was the older gentleman in line behind you at Walmart 3 weeks ago. I have thought about our encounter every single day since. I am 84 years old. I made my fortune in real estate development over 50 years. I built shopping centers, apartment complexes, office buildings. I worked with hundreds of construction workers, men like your late husband Diego. Good men. Hard workers. Men who broke their backs so people like me could make money. I lost my wife 5 years ago. We had no children. I have more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes. And lately, I've been asking myself what it's all for. Then I met you. A widow. A mother. A worker. Someone society treats as invisible and judges as lazy. And I saw my wife in you. She too raised children alone when I was traveling for work. She too knew what it meant to stretch every dollar. I made some calls. I hope you don't mind. I found out that the house at 2847 West Palm Lane, 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,400 square feet, with a small backyard, is for sale. It's in a good school district. Safe neighborhood. The asking price is $285,000. I bought it. The deed is being prepared in your name. You own it. No mortgage. No rent. Just property taxes and utilities, which I estimate at $400 per month, less than half what you're paying now. I also opened 3 college savings accounts, one for each of your children, $50,000 in each. They will have the education their father would have wanted for them. I don't want anything from you. I don't need recognition. I just need to know that one family, one widow, 3 fatherless children, will be okay. That Diego Santos' sacrifice meant something. That America takes care of its veterans' families, even when the government doesn't. The keys are with my attorney. Her card is enclosed. Call her tomorrow. The house is yours. You are not lazy, Maria. You are not a burden. You are a hero doing the hardest job in the world with no help and no thanks. Your children are lucky to have you. Your husband was lucky to have you. And I am honored to have met you. With deepest respect, Robert Chen. Maria read the letter 3 times. 4 times. She called the attorney's number, certain it was a scam. It wasn't. The attorney, professional, warm, confirmed everything. The house was real. The deed was real. The college funds were real. On December 15th, 2024, Maria Santos and her 3 children moved into their home. Their home. With a backyard where Miguel could play. With separate bedrooms where Sofia didn't have to share a bunk bed with her brothers. With a kitchen where Maria could cook real meals instead of shelf-stable pasta. The first night, after the kids were asleep, Maria sat in her empty living room. They had almost no furniture yet, but that would come, and she cried. Not tears of shame this time. Tears of gratitude. Tears of relief. Tears of a burden she'd carried for 2 years finally lifted. 6 months later, May 2025, Maria still worked at Walmart. But now she was a shift supervisor, promoted, $13.50 per hour. The extra money meant she could save, could breathe, could plan. She tried to find Robert Chen to thank him. Called his attorney. Was told Mr. Chen didn't want contact. His only request was that Maria pay it forward when she could. So she did. She started volunteering at a local food bank, the same one where she used to go before Robert's gift. She helped other single mothers navigate SNAP applications, WIC benefits, housing assistance. She knew the system because she'd lived it. She told her story, carefully, protecting Robert's anonymity, to other struggling families. Reminded them they weren't alone, weren't lazy, weren't failures, just human beings in a system that made it almost impossible to survive on minimum wage. And when Sofia asked her mother why that old man had helped them, Maria gave her the answer she'd come to believe. Because, Mija, some people see others as burdens. But some people, rare people, see others as themselves, as family, as deserving. And Mr. Chen saw us, really saw us. He saw your father's sacrifice. He saw my work. He saw you and your brothers deserving a home. And he had the power to help, so he did. That's what humanity looks like when it's not forgotten. 1 year after receiving the house, Maria wrote a letter to Robert Chen. She gave it to his attorney, not knowing if he'd read it. She wrote, "Dear Mr. Chen, I know you don't want recognition, but I need you to know what you changed. Sofia made honor roll last semester. She has her own room now, with a desk where she does homework. She wants to be a doctor. She says she wants to help people the way you helped us. Carlos is on a little league team. He plays baseball in our backyard with Miguel. They laugh. They're just kids being kids, not kids worrying about money. Miguel asks every night if we're really going to stay here forever. I say yes, and he smiles. I'm taking online classes at community college. Business administration. I want to manage something bigger than a Walmart shift someday. I want to show my kids that education matters, that their father's sacrifice and your gift should be honored with hard work. But mostly, I want you to know this. You didn't just give us a house. You gave us dignity. You gave us hope. You gave us proof that kindness exists, that people see us, that we matter. Those women in Walmart that day saw food stamps and judged. You saw a widow and helped. That difference saved us. Thank you. Every day, thank you. With eternal gratitude. Maria Santos. Robert Chen did receive Maria's letter. He framed it in his home office, next to a photo of his late wife. He never told Maria the full truth, that he'd been the developer who contracted the construction company where Diego Santos worked, that he'd signed off on the safety protocols, or lack thereof, that led to Diego's death, that he'd carried guilt for 2 years, knowing his company's focus on fast timelines and cheap labor had cost a man his life. Meeting Maria at Walmart wasn't coincidence. Robert had been anonymously paying Maria's health insurance premiums for 18 months, ever since he'd learned about Diego's death. He'd been tracking her, making sure she survived, eaten alive by guilt. The house wasn't charity. It was restitution, the least he could do for taking a father from 3 children. But Maria would never know that. She thought she'd met a kind stranger. And maybe that was better. Maybe mercy didn't need to know it was born from guilt. Maybe grace given was grace given, regardless of the motivation. Maria Santos's story reminds us, the person you dismiss in the grocery line might be working harder than you ever will. The mother using food stamps might be a widow of a veteran who died building your dream home. The lazy poor might be the strongest people you'll never bother to see. Before you judge someone for needing help, ask yourself, do I know their story? Have I walked their path? Have I lost my partner and raised 3 children alone on $9 an hour? And remember, kindness isn't about what someone deserves. It's about what you can give when you have the power to change a life. Like, share, subscribe to empowering stories if you believe in seeing people, not stereotypes. Have you ever been judged for needing help? Or have you witnessed someone's kindness change everything? Share your story below. Remember, food stamps aren't failure. They're survival. And the people using them are often working harder than those judging them. Honor our veterans' families. Support working mothers. See the humans behind the struggle.